Welcome to Grey Primer, a weekly show that's mostly about miniatures. My name is Nick, I'm your host, and in this episode it's time to bring out the big guns in the Tau vs. Guard series that have been running all this month. And here it is, it's the first of the battle forces. There's no doubt about it, this is a monster kit. 41 miniatures, and yeah, for sure, probably a bunch of those will be drones, maybe 39 or so, no. But that still leaves a whole lot of these regular troops, and I'm seeing a lot of mechs here too, on a different vehicle, one that I haven't built before. I am very excited to get into this, especially building all of these big walkers, but let's not hang around here, let's go get it done. There are a few elements of this kit that are brand new to me that I haven't seen before, so that's got me quite excited. This is a huge box, by the way. This is kind of up there with like Blood Bowl size of box. What else do I have in this one? So I've got the Piranha. I've got the XV8, the much larger battlesuit. I've got this commander unit over here, so I'm excited about that. This is the same Fire Warrior team I've already built. The XV8s I've already built. But now I have the Pathfinders as well. They do look very similar to the Fire Warriors, but I think there's probably enough small elements to them that are different, enough build options that make it stand alone as a kit in its own right. But let's get into it and see what we can see. So straight away I'm glad to see this gigantic tray, these cardboard trays. It's a supersized one to the ones we normally see in Start Collecting kits. It just keeps everything all together. I can't remember if previous battle forces that I've made had these trays in them, but I'm glad to see it here. Got a bunch of 25mm bases there. And then we're into, let me just see what we'll have. I think it's funny when you are building the same army over and over again and you spot like a component that you haven't noticed before, you haven't encountered. You just kind of get like, whoa, what's that? It's just funny for excitement levels to get so high over such a small component. Let's just see what else we've got here. These look like XV8 Crisis Battlesuits sprues. Yes, they are indeed. So there's 3 different XV8s there, and you know, a great kit. Some lovely weapons in these, ball and socket as well throughout, so lots of options for posing, and you can see the tops of some of the drones there, of course, but they went together really nicely, and I'm excited to build some more because they're cool kits. I'm assuming that this is the Pathfinder sprue finally, because there are so many weapons in this that I haven't seen before, and these look savage. What are they, some kind of railgun or something? And then maybe those others are some like plasma weapon or something flamey or melty anyway. And did I think the gun on that other kit was long? Look at this thing. This is ridiculous. This must be the XV8, but that's going to be a cool one to build. Looks like a huge amount of components for that mech, but I am excited to get it up and running. Or up and stomping. This one looks like the commander mech, but I could be totally wrong on these, by the way. I guess we're gonna find out when I go to build them. But there's just a ton of plastic in this box. Tons and tons of machine parts as well. Cool alien weaponry. I'm just can't wait to get all of this built. And I don't know if you can see this, just collection of stuff, just flying bases and standard bases and support struts. There's random piece of cardboard here, all the instruction manuals. There's just so much in this kit. I'm very much glad it all comes in this one big tray. And then we're into the Piranha. I've never built one of these before. Doesn't look to be too complicated to build, but there are pilots there, maybe gunners or something as well. So that's cool to see, and some small arms here. I bet that's a drone. Oh, yep, there it is. Almost got excited because I saw pulse rifles there, but no, or pulse carbines, but yeah, it's a drone. And then a whole collection of leaflets. So we got 2 different size of decal sheet. Got the Tau Empire infantry decals and then the vehicle decals. So there you go. Nice big symbols on the vehicle decals there, so those are always handy. That's cool to see. Individual leaflets for each kit. I guess these all were retail kits. The only one I've got in color here is the Fire Warriors. I wondered, did they consider if it made more sense to have a dedicated construction booklet for the entire Battleforce, or because these are relatively short run. I'm pretty sure these are seasonal. I think they're generally released around the end of the year to coincide with Christmas. I wonder, do they sort of think, well, we have all this, they're all relatively up to date, maybe that'll just do. But that's it, and I'll be right back. And here they are, and I hope you're enjoying my new background here. This is from TT Combat. It's actually a 4-foot by 4-foot neoprene battle mat, and it is pretty spectacular. I just thought it'd be a great thing to have as a background. It's non-reflective, it doesn't crease, it's very cool. And it's probably a little bit more forgiving if I drop something onto it. It's slightly cushioned. Let's get into this Tau Empire Battleforce, the Starpulse Cadre. And it was a significant enough build. The 10 Fire Warriors, 10 Pathfinders, these 5 large mechs, the 14 drones, and then the Piranha as well. So quite a lot here. And I've found that one of the things that keeps me engaged when building a whole bunch of miniatures is the actual level of character in each miniature. And when most of the Tau have these admittedly cool helmets, but when most of them have the helmets on, you're not really seeing the character of the fighter underneath, which in this case left me feeling like I was just building the same miniature over and over again. So let's first of all look at the breacher team that I put together with these Fire Warriors. Because they come in units of 5, you're able to replace one of those with a chasseur, which I can only imagine is the equivalent of a sergeant. So that's what these 2 here at the front are. I'm just going to take one of them, let you see it. So as you can see, there's a bunch of character here, screaming orders, pointing over there. He's got some kind of an Auspex unit here. On the back, I've slung the pulse carbine, extra bits and pieces on their backpack because they're one of the lead team. A decent enough miniature, nicely detailed, and a nice dynamic pose there. Where possible, I left the helmets off. Pretty much any of the Tau heads that came in the pack I used. I just found that they were much more interesting to look at. They're probably more interesting to paint as well, especially if you go for the blue skin Tau that we're quite familiar with from Games Workshop paint jobs. There are a few accessories in the kit, like holstered pistols and stuff that you can pop onto these. And the difference between this is the breacher team and the strike team. They come with different helmets, they come with different shoulder armor pauldron designs, and I think that's about it really. There's another one in the kneeling pose, and you can see I put a slight tilt to the head there. It's very subtle, but I think that that's where these can have a little bit of character, just in those little subtle inclinations of the head. And I thought this was quite an interesting look to it. I mean, the bottom of this helmet does look a little bit like a mouth. The sensors here do look like eyes. There's just something kind of visually appealing about that one. I'm going to skip over the other 5 Fire Warriors in this breacher team because they are variations on what we've already seen. And with the Fire Warrior team, you also get one of these DS8 tactical support turrets. And they look kind of cool. You can see if you hide the base here, it looks like a standard drone just sitting in there, apart from the missile pod at the back. But you get this little armored turret structure. I like those. I think they're kind of fun. And finally, with the Fire Warriors, you get 2 standard drones. This one I went as a gun drone. It's got the twin pulse carbines. And then for the last one, I went with the MV36 Guardian drone. I hadn't seen this before, so this is a very exciting and exotic looking drone to me, because I've just seen so many of the other ones. Does kind of look like their little legs and little arms sticking out here, and the dude's wearing a little hat. Maybe that's just me. And speaking of exotic drones, here's the MV8 missile drone. This one comes with the Broadside Battlesuit, the XV8, and it looks pretty neat. The other one I did with it, I just did a standard marker drone. So you get 2 with the XV8. So let's check it out. There are probably better ways you could have built this, but I wanted to go all just missiles. All missiles, all day long. We've got the twin arms here. This is the high yield missile pods, one on each side. Got the missile pods on the shoulder. We've got this, I think, a hunter missile over here. Like, this guy, once he's fired everything, he's got nothing left. He's got nothing left to reload. He's just gonna run straight at you and smash you with his empty missile pod fists. And I think that's so savage. I wanted him to be completely forward facing. Just, I mean, imagine this thing towering over the top of you. It is just pure aggression, pure missile firing madness, and I dig it. And all in all, a great looking miniature. So there are definitely options here for moving the arms around. I guess you could rotate it a little bit on the hips. I think beyond that, to get movement into this, it would involve starting to snip into knees and hip joints, maybe getting a little saw in there or something. But I didn't want to do that this time. I just wanted to enjoy it as this forward-facing missile battery. I love that guy. And like I said at the start of this video series, friends and family often send me kits so that I can unbox them and build them and film them, and then I package them all up and ship them back to them. And the Tau and the Imperial Guard this month were very much a case of that. So what happens when I find a miniature that I really love? And this is what happened with the XV88. Well, I go out and buy one. And so that's exactly what I did. I went and I bought myself another XV88. And because I built this one just to be completely missile heavy, I wanted to build my one with the heavy rail rifle. So that's exactly what I did. So this is the other variant of the XV88. And it does look significantly different. I mean, same miniature, same kit. But yeah, with those missile pods on the arms compared to this two-handed monstrous looking railgun, you would think they were two completely separate kits. I've got the hunter missile on the back here. I actually did put the missile pod on the shoulder of this dude, but just look at that heavy rail rifle. It is taller than the mech itself. It is just stunning. A little bit of bonus content because I love the XV88 so much. And now we have the Pathfinders, and again, per unit of 5 you can replace one of them with a chasseur, which again I think is probably the sergeant. And looking at this guy, he's giving me sergeant vibes for sure. But nice pose. I like that he's leaning forward into it, almost to give himself a better view of the enemy. And then with this crouched one, it's the first time we've seen one of these ion rifles, and it's an interesting looking weapon. Lots of bits and pieces sticking out of it. Quite a rectangular looking barrel on it too. And while this one just has the standard pulse carbine, I wanted to show you it just because of the range of accessories that you could add to these. You got the combat knife, like tassels hanging off it there. It's got this vein thing coming out of the backpack. There's a reload here, I think maybe grenades as well. And it's just a generally nice looking miniature. The second of the chasseur figures, and I like this. It looks like he's got one of the antennas from one of the Tau helmets that he's snapped off and is using to communicate. Auspex device stuck out here. It's got this rifle slung on the back. And I think the rifle actually has a reload tape to it, which is very cool. I haven't seen that before. He's got his pistol at the side. A nice dramatic looking figure. And now here's another one of the different types of weapons that these Pathfinders carry. This is one of their rail rifles. And you can see this dude is in mid-reload. The magazine locks into the very back of it here. Thinking about this, I probably will get a pin vise in there and just like drill a hole back a little bit. Just a few millimeters, just to show where that spare mag actually clicks into. I think it's a nice feel to this. It feels like he has got the rifle nicely stabilized as well while he tries to reload. And again, the other 5 are pretty much repeats or variations on the 5 we've just looked at, so I'm going to skip them and just go straight on to the much more exciting drones. I'm sure you won't mind. I joke, but all 3 drones that come with the Pathfinders are fairly exotic. This is the MV31 Pulse Accelerator drone. It looks great. Sure, it looks a little bit like someone has taken a washing up glove and puffed it full of air and then stuck it onto this thing, but that aside, yeah, I'll take it. At this stage, anything that makes the drone stand out, I will take. And now we have a grav inhibitor drone. I mean, seriously, we are being spoiled with this Pathfinder kit. This is ridiculous. They should have spaced out this drone goodness across all of these different kits. And then we have this recon drone, which is just even better. I mean, this thing comes with a pulse cannon. How cool is that? And the cannon even folds up inside it when it's not in use. Kind of digging the Pathfinders. If you've watched my channel before, you know I don't generally like static poses. They're just the legs to the side, the arms to the side. I want them to be doing something. And so I had a little bit of fun with the XV86 Cold Star Battlesuit. And I didn't actually know if I could get away with this, but it seems to be holding really well on the base. What I went with is just one in an absolute sprint, running across the battlefield. And he is attached to that base by his tippy toes. But as you can see, it is holding really nicely. I raised the arm up as he's running. I've got these spiky veins going out the back. I thought they added a huge amount of very anime kind of styling and drama to it. And look at that pulse cannon. He's even pointing. Like, how cool is that, dude? So there you go. Very much one of my favorites here. I was really pleased with what I was able to do in this one. And then we have the 3 XV8 Crisis Battlesuits. These are fun. I've built them before. I tried to do it very differently this time. And let's start with this dude here. I call this one Captain America because he's kind of hiding behind it. Not that Captain America hides behind his shield, but you get what I mean. But I do like the posture. I like what I was able to do with the legs here. And it's just added a whole heap of drama to this miniature. That was fun to put together. The next one I went with very much forward-facing aggression, much like the XV88. I'll actually put him beside the XV88 because you'll see sort of they're kind of a pair as they point off down the battlefield. But I did like the twin plasma rifles. And just overall, I thought this guy still looked cool, even though he is a little static. I put a little bit of tilt onto it, so it's kind of pointing off this way, and I thought that added a little bit of visual interest there. And for the last one, I fitted him out with twin burst cannons, and I thought it gave him a nice heroic-looking pose, as he's probably firing in 2 directions at once with minimal accuracy, I would say, judging by these weapons. But he does look pretty cool. Yeah, I do like this. Now, and they come with 6 drones here. I gotta admit, I'm kind of done. I'm not going to look at any more drones. Just for information, I went with a mixture of markers, shields, and gun drones, just to give a bit of variety in there. And for any collectors of Tau, you may be wondering what the vehicle is here at a glance. It used to be a TX4 Piranha, but I am not a fan of the layout of the TX4 Piranha. I just think it looks goofy and back to front, and I wasn't gonna make one. Instead, this is what I went with. And for me, it looks much more like a compact fighter jet. It's got a much more aggressive shape to it. I love the way the wings are up here. It kind of looks like an F-15 to me. And from the back, it looks cool as well. From all angles, it looks cool. Whereas the original Piranha just looks goofy from all angles. It looks so upside down and back to front. And that's kind of funny, because that's what I did with this to get it looking like this. I took the pods on either side here, which would normally be right up front and flipped over the other way. So I inverted those, pushed them back. Actually, I had to shave a little bit off the back of one of them just to keep it flush. The wings I kept on as normal, but then they, when attached back to the inverted pods, had this rakish angle to them. It is an incredibly straightforward conversion. Anyone can do it, and you end up with a Piranha that looks just so much cooler. So it's the last of the Tau kits I'm looking at in this series of Tau versus Guard, model kit versus model kit. What do I think of it? Well, I mean, it's huge. For me personally, there are just too many drones. There are 14 drones, and that really counts against this kit. I hate that it says 41 miniatures on the box. with 14 of those being drones, it just feels a little bit cheeky. But let's talk numbers here. Out of 100, where does this sit? Everything I've said about the Fire Warriors, the Pathfinders, the drones being relatively generic, it just feels like the mechs still carry this kit. This is no showstopper of a Battleforce, but the mechs are fun. And the fact that I went out and bought my own XV8 as a result of this kit, that tells you something. But it is worth remembering that this kit does come with a lot of, pretty average miniatures that involve an incredibly repetitive build process and most likely a repetitive painting process too. So all of that factored in, the mechs, the modified Piranha really do still keep this kit afloat. And for me, this sits at an 85 out of 100, which I still think is a strong place for the Tau to finish out this month. For the past few weeks, I've been doing double weekends of Tau versus Guard, but because of the sheer size of these battle forces, they have taken up a huge amount of time getting them built, and I didn't want to rush the next video, the Imperial Guard, Bastion, Platoon Battle Force, so I've actually pushed that a week. So that will be coming up the next episode, which is coming to you next Friday. But until then, thank you so much for watching. If you're enjoying this content, please like and share. And you can subscribe as well and check out some of the other videos. I have playlists and all that stuff. And comment down below if you want to get chatty. I love answering questions and stuff down there. Until the next time, take care and bye-bye.